Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler from Melda Production, and today I want to go over a song that I did recently. I released it last week called Indigo, and I'm going to break it down and show you what I did. In this first part, part one, I'm going to show you the drums, the bass, and the pad, and how I did that. In the next part, I'll show you all the guitar stuff. I actually made this to show off the new M Turbo amp and M Guitar Architect. Those should be out soon, but this is just kind of something to let you know what it sounds like. So here we go. As I said, I'll go over the drums here. I'll let you hear a little bit of it. This is the beginning. So let's get into the drums. I'll solo them here, and the first thing, actually the second thing I put on the drums is this EQ. And I just did this to kind of, it seemed a little bit dull to me, and I wanted a little bit more high end on it and get rid of some of the mud. So here, the air band, I use the MPI 551 model here in M Turbo EQ. I put on the air band and I turned it up just a little bit. Here you can't really see the actual dBs, but it's like 2.78. I thought that sounded good. And then here at 303 Hertz, I'm reducing this by 2.3. I'm not doing too much. Basically, what I wanted to do was I just wanted this to clear out some of the mud and, boost the highs a little bit. I wanted a little bit more air on it. So I'll let you hear it before. It sounds like this. After. So you see, it just has a little bit more of that air at the top, and I noticed before, it didn't seem like it was really cutting through. When I had all the guitars going and the pads and everything else, you couldn't really hear any of the cymbals, like the hi-hats and the ride cymbals and everything were kind of getting lost. So I did this, and this kind of made them poke out more, and as well as clearing out some of this for the bass and everything else. The next thing I did here was, actually before that, I used this. So I'm using M Turbo Comp, and I use the DB Meld 160 here, and I'm compressing it, not doing a ton, but just a little bit. I'll let you see. I think I'm doing a little bit less than 5 decibel in gain reduction here. You see, this just makes it more punchy, and it kind of brings out the high end. It gives it a little bit more attack here. So these are the settings here. I forgot what I did with this. I might have used a preset in here. I don't know. I forgot what exactly I did. Maybe I adjusted this myself. I perhaps did that. I can't even remember how exactly I did it. I know I moved the output down, so I try to match the input in the output here. Of course, you have your threshold here and your ratio and everything. And I think I just set the attack by ear. I usually turn up the threshold like all the way, so it's doing lots of gain reduction, and then just make the put the attack all the way at the slowest attack, and then just kind of bring it back until I can hear the transient. And then of course I bring the threshold down, so I'm doing about 5 decibels of gain reduction. I want to bring that attack out, but I don't want to go crazy with it. So that's what I did for this. Now the big thing with the drums, if we open it up, I use this preset here. It's in the Acoustic Drum Empire 2020. So this is the newest pack. Download it if you haven't. But inside Rock Big, it has 80s Rock Kit 2. I use that one. I kind of wanted like a 80s, early 90s Joe Satriani vibe to the song. So I used this, and I thought this one sounded good. I'll show you here's what the bass drum sounds like. Pretty big. And here's the snare. That's huge. That's that 80s snare. Of course, this sounds actually good. It has lots of velocity layers, so you can kind of hear it here. With all that compression in there, you can really hear that, snapping in there. So that's basically what it sounded like. What I did here was I used the rhythm generator, and I created a new pattern. So if I just play, this is what I entered here. I just must have done this by hand. You can actually do it with a MIDI controller and put those in if you want, but I think I just did this. I just drew it in. It sounds like this. So I have that in there, and I have this funk shuffle because I wanted to shuffle rhythm. This whole thing has like a kind of shuffle feel. Forgot exactly how I did this. I might have changed this. I forgot exactly. Oh, there's someplace else. Yeah, I changed the shuffle to 100%. So instead of 0%, I just moved it up to 100. So all these things have a kind of shuffle feel to it, not just the rhythms here for the cymbals and everything, but also the bass drum and snare drum. What I did here, you see these highlighted here. I set the minimum level for these, and you're wondering like, what does this do? What's going to happen with this is when it has the level low, let's say I'm playing on the keyboard, the rhythm editor, like one of these notes, like C or D that are lower, it's not going to play these bass drum hits, these two here. But then when I turn it up, it will. So if we listen to it here, like this with the level at 0. You don't hear any of the other bass drum hits. But let's say if I move it up here to around 70, now listen. And so I added that just so there'd be a little bit of variation when I changed to different sections of the songs. I think in a previous video I showed you how to do this, but this is actually really useful when you're using the rhythm generator. And you're thinking like, okay, what are you doing? Just adjusting this as you're playing. And actually after I did this, I used generate all just so I can create the rhythms here, and I use the rhythm editor to add it here. So you can see here the bass drum plays this, and it doesn't have those little anticipatory hits, but then up here you see it adds it in there. It does all that for you. And I have lots of different beats here like this. And so it generated all these beats for me, and I was easily able to insert these into the songs. I just used the MIDI method here. So if you look here, I'm just playing this, and then when it gets here, I change this, and it has a short break. It'll sound like this. And if you're wondering the short breaks, here it has it here for each of these keys, like A through B, but also you can change it by changing the actual velocity here. So if I look in here in MDrummer and I look in the breaks, for example, you see here in this box it has like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 24. You're like, okay, how do I, change and get into these? And so these are triggered by different rhythmic levels. And so that's one thing you can do by doing that. Let me see, which one is this? I think if I click it, show me exactly which one it is. That only has one level, so that's a bit different. But having all of these lets you kind of choose and look and find exactly which one you want. So that's really useful, and that's what I did here. So basically with all these, I made one of these, I copied it and pasted it, and then once I felt like, I was done with the song, I went through and I changed the small bits, like the drum fills, I changed it to something else. And that really helped because it saved me lots of time. I didn't have to like write everything all over again. I was just like, okay, let me choose this drum fill here and change it. Or in this section, I have this drum beat, but then when I go to the next section, I'll change it. And all I have to do is just transpose the MIDI up. It's really easy. So that's about it for the drums. I have it going into reverb too. I'll let you hear it with and without reverb. I'm not doing too much there. It's just adding a little bit of reverb on the tail of that snare. That's all I wanted it for, really. Next thing I'll go over is the bass. So I'll let you hear what the compressor is doing on the bass here. Let me solo it. Here we go. So I'll play it. So this just makes it a little bit punchier. I tried to get it kind of like synced up with the rhythm. I'm using this MPI was it 2,500 or 2,500? I don't know, whatever you want to say. And this just made it a little bit punchier, and I like that. And it also controlled some of the peaks. I didn't want those to pop out too much. It also seemed to emphasize more the mid-range as opposed to the low end, and I wanted that because I didn't want the like bass and the bass drum to fight each other. So that's all I did for that. For M Auto Dynamic EQ, I don't know why I used this one instead of the M Turbo EQ, but I did. And I'm just cutting out some of the low end. I'll let you hear it with and without. So I'm just cutting out some of those low frequencies again, so it doesn't interfere with the bass drum. And for this, I'm using a MSoundfactory, and this is actually one I made. So this is the bass model. It's called Fat. Although I probably didn't need to make it that fat just because I'm cutting off the bass anyways, but whatever. I turned up the tone a little bit as opposed to the normal one. I think I turned down the pluck variation, and maybe I adjusted the amp a little bit. I have the speaker on. So, like I said, it should just be the normal preset. I was happy I made this one. I was actually able to use my own stuff. So there we go. That's the bass. And one more thing I'll show here now is the pad. The pad is also very simple. So this is the crystal pad, also one I made. I'm using 2 wavetables at the same time. So this kind of sounds like a space organ to me or something. I'll let you hear what it sounds like. Here we go. I wanted something that was more felt and not heard. I want something to kind of fill in the background, and maybe if you're listening with headphones on or something, you might go, oh, I didn't notice that before. But, you just kind of feel it, and it doesn't feel like it's so empty. So I would just put this in here. Sounds nice to me. I like that, and I wanted to do that just for different sections so you get more of a build-up over time. So that's it. The rest of the guitar stuff I will do next time because I know it'll take forever, and maybe I'll go over the reverb bus and the delay throw bus. Although I will show you these two. I have M Turbo Comp here, and I use this Meve model here just to make the main bus a little bit fatter. Let me see. Okay, it's not soloed. I'll turn it on and off so you can hear it with and without. Here, I can hear it making that snare a little bit punchier. It seems to maybe do somewhat similar to the bass drum, although not that much. But I just wanted a little bit of control, and I wanted to make things a little bit punchier. I like what it did there. And here, I haven't done a video on this, but I probably should. I use this on probably every mix as M-Compare. And so what I do is I just load some wave files of like songs I think, oh, these might be close to what I want. And then from there, I just go back and forth, and I compare them back and forth to see like, is the drums too loud? Is the guitar too far in the back? Do I need more reverb, etc.? And I can just compare it with these as I'm listening, and I do that so I can adjust the levels, add more reverb, take away reverb. Maybe think, oh, there's the bass and the bass drum are too muddy. Let me cut one of those. And so this is really helpful. This is actually one of my most useful plugins. I haven't done any videos on this, but it actually is one of the ones I think everybody should have. So anyways, this is the first half of the breakdown. Next time I'll go over all the guitar stuff, which most of this is, and I'll show you how I did all of that. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you did that, or make sure you do that. And give me a thumbs up if you like this, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.